What's up guys? Today, I've got an update to my Grenadier Mercenary that can kill tier 2 map bosses with 1.8 million HP in around 3 seconds. This equals around 600,000 DPS, and I've even managed to kill up to tier 2 pinnacle bosses like King of the Mist with it. As always, I've included a Mobalytics and Path of Building in the description. I'll also be live on Twitch at twitch.tv/FGCorbin21 if you want to see the build live. With that, let's get into the video. So how are we doing over 600,000 DPS with just grenades? Well, we'll use the Scattershot support gem combined with a Cannonade crossbow and the Cluster Bombs node on the passive tree to shoot out 5 grenades with 1 click. We speed up the explosive timer on the grenades by using gems like Expedite and nodes in the passive tree like Volatile grenades. Now, if you have the money for it, I recommend that you buy the Deepest Tower helmet. You combine this with low life nodes on the passive tree and the Witchhunter ascendancy to juice your damage by over 490%. We'll also use the Execute support gem on our explosive grenades to increase its damage by 50% more. Now, let's go over the skill gems, gear, and passive tree. So here we are here on the Witchhunter. Now, I died 6 times the last time I showed you. I've now died 15 times. I also did play POE 2 drunk a couple nights ago, so that's probably also part of it. But I have done 136 maps. And I have also done a couple of the pinnacle bosses. I did the Crux of Nothingness, King of the Mist guy twice now. Now, I haven't managed to get the other currencies to fight the other guys yet, but my map bosses are on tier 2 now. So I've played a lot and I've killed a lot, and this build's pretty good. So I'm going to go ahead and break down what gems that we're using. So our main attack is going to be Explosive Grenade, and you want to be running Scattershot to allow us to shoot 2 additional projectiles. This will create more grenades for us to do more damage. You want to be running Expedite. Expedite is going to lessen the detonation time of the grenades, making them explode faster, so that way you're not waiting around for the explosions. You could also run Fire Infusion to give us extra fire damage. If you don't have the 3rd or 4th slot, use those 3 right there. But if you do happen to have the 4th and 5th slot on your attack, I would run Elemental Focus for 25% more elemental damage. Now, we run this over Primal because Primal Armament is going to give us a cost increase of over 100%. So I'd rather not make our mana consumption too ridiculous. And then if you have the Deepest Tower helmet like I do, I would recommend that you run the Execute support gem. This will give us 50% more damage with hits against enemies that are on low life. So if you have that final slot, run that there. If you have the Deepest Tower but don't have that last slot, I would swap out Elemental Focus with Execute. So yeah. Now we're also supporting our attacks with other grenades with Flash Nade, Oil Nade, and Gas Nade. The most important out of these 3, I would say, would be Oil Grenade, because Oil Grenade is going to apply fire exposure on a target, which is going to lower their fire resistance by 20%. We're also going to be running Strip Away to increase the exposure effect to get even more drop on fire res on targets. I think this is a minus 24% fire res on them, so that's super important. We're running Encumbrance, so that way enemies that get in these oil fields will be slowed even more. And we're going to be running Despoiler, so that way the ground surface, the oil, stays on the ground for longer to slow down targets. Now, to stun bosses, to get them, to stop attacking and everything like that, I run Flash Nade. Flash Nade shoots out 3 grenades like that really fast. We're going to be running Overpower to increase the stun buildup, so that way it stuns faster. We're going to be running Maim, so that way enemies that we do hit with this have a 30% movement speed reduction. And I'm running Discombobulate to allow us to build up Daze. Daze is going to make it to where they get even more stun buildup. So super useful for stunning bosses or large group of enemies that you're about to run into. Just watch out. If you shoot it close to your feet, it'll actually blind you. And now I have reduced accuracy and evasion. So try to keep your distance and shoot it out there, so that way you're not getting hit by it yourself. Now, the other supporting grenade that we're going to be running is going to be Gas Grenade, and Gas Grenade is important because it's going to be applying armor break on targets. Now, our grenades do mostly fire damage, but they do have a partial bit that is physical. So we want to be breaking their armor to do extra physical damage. We do this with Corrosion, to where the poison applied by it is going to break armor equal to 80% of poison damage dealt. We'll run Demolisher to increase that armor break by even more. And then I just run Bursting Plague on here to create these little Plague Burst explosion enemies. You don't have to run this if you don't have the slot. But that's pretty much all you're going to be doing for the Gas Nade. You can also ignite it with one of your other grenades to create an extra little explosion. So it's nice to combo these in big groups of enemies. Now for defenses, I'm running Wind Dancer in Time of Need. I am currently running Armor and Evasion. I don't recommend running the scattered armor one, the armor support or skill gem that gives you scavenge plating. That's what it is. I don't recommend running it as the armor break isn't frequent enough, and I just don't find the increase to armor all that well. Wind Dancer is going to be giving us extra evasion per stage. I'm just running blind and pin in it since we have maim in our flash grenade. And on time of need, this is going to give us a free 463 life and remove any curses and elemental elements every 10.4 seconds. So it's a nice, real easy way to get some free HP whenever you're running around mapping. Now, in time of need, and this is important, you need to be running Cannibalism and you need to be running Herbalism. So Cannibalism is going to get us 2% max life recovered on kill. So this is super important for keeping us alive while we're running around mapping. And Herbalism is going to increase the recovery from Life Flask while this skill is active. And that's important because we're going to be using our Life Flask frequently since we don't have like an energy shield cover for us. So make sure you have these two right here. Make sure you have enough spirit. You only need the base spirit that you have at the end of the base campaign. I got 100. I still have 10 left over, so you should have plenty. You don't have to worry about getting spear on any of your gear. So with that, let's go ahead and get into the gear and break that down. So now let's go ahead and break down the gear. I want to go ahead and preface this in the beginning that you do not need the Deepest Tower helmet. I will include in the link in the description the Mobalytics that has a variant of this build that does not use Deepest Tower. It's what I was using before I had my hands on this, and it is still plenty good. So I just want to put that out there before I break this down. Don't panic if you don't have this or you can't afford it. Okay, so for our crossbow, we are going to be wanting to run a cannonade crossbow because it has the implicit grenade skills fire an additional projectile. This will allow our grenade skills to shoot out an extra grenade. And it's important, two things are extremely important on this crossbow, and that you have high physical damage and that you have increased elemental damage with attacks. Now, the reason why the high physical damage is super important and not like, really high fire damage or something like that is because Explosive Grenade converts 80% of our physical damage to fire. So the higher that our physical is on here, the higher the fire damage will end up getting overall on Explosive Grenade. And increased elemental damage with attacks, this will just make it that our elemental attacks do more elemental damage. So super important notes on here to ensure that our DPS gets high. Now, I just happen to have crit hit chance and level of all projectile skills. I would recommend that you get like mana per enemy killed for sure whenever you're running around to ensure that you're keeping your mana up. We're not really like that high on crit, so it's not necessary. I only have a 7.7 crit hit chance, so it's not really that big of a deal. All right, so for the gloves, right now I'm running armor evasion. Like I said, I would recommend that you try to get max life on every piece of gear that you can get, and also strength, because right now I have 2,500 life, and that is important for us staying alive in these maps, is that we have a super high life hit pool. So I have 149 max life on my gloves, and I also have strength index and resistances. If you can get added damage to attacks, do that as well. But as it currently stands, life is our biggest benefactor for keeping us alive, so make sure that you're getting that as much as you can. On my chest piece, I also have max life, and I also just have really high armor and evasion. Make sure you fill out your resistances. I am currently capped on all my resistances. Here's my armor and evasion percentage right there. There's my life and everything like that. So, and this chest piece is like a chest piece that I crafted myself. So this isn't something like I bought with a whole bunch of currency or whatever. I crafted this myself by buying a piece off the market and then finishing crafting it. So same thing in my boots. You're gonna want movement speed, of course, and I just have some max life and max mana. This is ensuring that our mana pool stays up a bit because we don't want to be running around with like 300-400 mana in tier 15 maps. And then of course, like I said, max life to make sure that we have a high hit pool, and we're going to want to get, our resistances filled out, but make sure you get some good movement speed so that way you're not feeling sluggish in some of these maps. For the helmet, I am running the Deepest Tower helmet. If you don't have the Deepest Tower, just pick a helmet with really high armor evasion, get your resistances, and get a ton of max life and max mana if you can. But Deepest Tower is going to make it to where enemies in our presence count as being on low life, and conveniently enough in this update they added a way to see what your presence area of effect looks like. So if I hover over it, you can see right there that I have a green radius around me. Anything inside of that circle, those enemies are being counted on low life. And this is important because we're built in the low life nodes on the passive tree. Now, this helmet does reduce our presence area of effect by 50%, but I will show you how we circumvent this on the passive tree. But it does happen to have chaos res and max life on it, so it's a really good helmet overall. On our belt, this is another belt that I crafted myself. I got max life on it. Once again, make sure you have max life. If you can get max mana, that would be ideal as well. I have strength. I wish the strength was a little bit higher, but the resistances on this belt are phenomenal, so that helps me fill out and cap out my resistances. I also am running the utility belt because it's going to apply 20% of our flask recovery instantly to allow us to heal our life a little bit more effectively. For the rings right now, you can see that I'm running an emerald ring, which is accuracy, but you would be surprised to find that accuracy is a little bit more important than it seems like on here. Now you can see that within 2 meters, our main hand chance to hit is 97%. But the moment we start to get outside of 2 meters, like 5 and 9, you can see that it drops a bit. So it's actually important to have accuracy and make sure that your accuracy rating isn't terrible. So this ring isn't like a waste because I have accuracy on top. Besides that, I like getting added fire or physical damage to attacks, max life, and filling out our resistances and our stats. So making sure that you're filling out your resistances and getting your dex and your strength up is super important so that we can use these high level skill gems. For the other ring, I just got, resistances. I got max life, max mana, some stats, mana per enemy killed, and then added fire damage. So same thing. On my amulet, I am running a amulet that has increased armor and evasion to help boost my defenses. If I was to take this off, I would drop from 5566 to 4962. So this is important for making sure that I have my defenses up. I got max life, I got some strength, I got some resistances, and currently I am allocated with forthcoming, but this isn't really fully necessary. You can allocate this with like a damage node if you wanted to, but this is going to make it to where our grenades blow up faster thanks to reduced skill effect duration and then extra cooldown recovery rate, so that way we get our grenades back faster, because you can see we have a cooldown on them. And yeah, for the flask, I just got a really fat, recover a whole bunch of life, and then same thing, recover a whole bunch of mana. I'm running a freeze charm, but I do plan on getting my hands on some unique charms and showing those off here in the future. So with that done and out of the way, let's go and break down the passive tree. All right, so here we are on the passive tree. Now, you don't have to be a witch hunter. The witch hunter is going to help you if you have the deepest tower, but you can make this work on any of the classes, or not any of the classes, but any of the ascendancies. I feel like the Gymling could also be really good with this. Tactician's a little bit weirder, but I haven't played with it, so I couldn't tell you exactly. But just make sure that you are picking the Culling Strike, Decimating Strike, and getting the damage against enemies that are on low life. Culling Strike and Decimating Strike is going to allow you to kill things quicker and just by default take away 5 to 30% of a target's HP just by hitting them. So super nice for getting some extra DPS. I tried messing around with Sorcery Ward, but it lowers our armor and evasion too much, and my hit pool was just taking too big of a hit. So I elected to go with our the concentration stuff, No Mercy and Witchbane, to where whenever you hit a target, a percentage of the damage that you deal is going to break their concentration, and their concentration is just lowering their cooldown recovery rate, preventing them from doing some of their heavy hitting attacks. This is super nice on bosses, especially spammy bosses like Zesht. And then No Mercy is just going to allow us to do 40% more damage to enemies based on their missing concentration. And more damage, that is cumulative, that is not additive, that's a ton of extra bonus damage. So whenever I started out, I just trekked down and I grabbed these first nodes right here. I grabbed these 2 or these 3 nodes right here. I also did these in the beginning, but I switched off of those for now. I grabbed these for some extra defenses. Same thing here for extra defenses, some stats. If you're running deepest tower, like I said, we're going to go with these low life nodes over here. All of these are going to increase our damage with hits against enemies on low life, and since they're in our presence, they are considered on low life. This node right here is going to make our hits lucky, which is going to roll the damage numbers on our hits, and it's going to pick the higher one. So this is awesome for increasing our damage. Same thing, just make sure you're getting all these nodes if you're running deepest tower. I come down here and get this section because it's going to increase our damage with two-handed weapons, which crossbows are considered two-handed weapons. I also get these 2 right here because they're going to give us strength and dex, and also accuracy and area of effect for attacks. Building into area of effect for attacks is going to make our grenades have a huge explosive radius. I then went up here to get some more armor and evasion. I then come down this way and I grabbed all of these grenade nodes right here. If you don't like how long it takes for the grenades to blow up, then unspec out of cluster bombs. If you don't mind it and you can deal with it, then run cluster bombs. It's going to allow you to shoot an additional projectile. Make sure you get Grenadier. It's going to give us a +1 to our cooldown. So instead of just having 3 of these, we have 4. Same thing for this. Instead of just having 2, or instead of having 1, we have 2. And then I head out this way just to get some extra armor evasion. I then come down this way and I get these nodes for the movement speed and the attack speed. And I come out here to get the grenade nodes and also volatile grenades to reduce our grenade detonation time. After that, you can see on my gem slot right here, I'm running a red jewel with increased presence, area of effect, and damage penetrates fire resistance. Now this is important because we want to increase our presence area of effect since the deepest tower is reducing it by 50%. So by getting these red jewels with that, it's going to increase our presence area, and then damage penetrates fire resistance. We're doing this because most of our damage is fire. So make sure you're getting jewels with that on there. I headed down this way, and you're going to want these cooldown nodes right here to let our cooldowns come back faster. Same thing. I come down this way, and I would recommend that you immediately start heading this way if you have deepest tower. If not, go out this way. So if you have deepest tower, I come out this way because I want to get the 120% increased damage with hits against enemies that are on low life, and the 30% nodes that follow that as well. So ton of extra damage boost if you have deepest tower. Also want the jewel socket right here to get another presence area of effect and damage penetrating node. I grab these nodes right here because we get even more damage penetrating, and we also have 30% increased damage hits against burning enemies, and a lot of these enemies are ignited. I also get these nodes right here, which is going to give us increased area of effect for attacks, and we want to boost that area of effect to make our grenades blow up and cover more of an area to kill more things faster. I also grab these defense nodes. I'm eventually going to grab this node right here, and I'm also going to grab these two once I hit that level. I'm currently level, I think, 89 or 90. We then come out this way, and I'm getting the repeating explosives. That gives us a chance to have our grenades activate a second time, some grenade damage and damage with crossbows. You could also grab these two nodes if you had the levels to get some extra damage with crossbows. I then come right here and grab these nodes right here to get the Giant Slayer, because we are going to be, fighting rares and uniques, and we want extra damage on him. So there you go, some extra nodes, some extra damage and attack speed against rare and unique enemies. And I'm eventually going to grab this node right here that will give us increased Culling Strike threshold to allow our Culling Strike to kill things quicker. I then come out this way. I get this ruby that is going to be giving us the same thing, presence area of effect and damage penetrating fire resistance. I then come up here and grab the elemental damage, and attack damage penetrates 15% of enemy elemental resistances. So this will ensure that we do enough damage, penetrate enough resistances to where if an enemy is fire resistant, it won't be a problem. We have a ton of area of effect to cover a large area whenever we blow up our grenades, and we have a ton of grenade damage ourselves. So yeah, that is the passive tree, and I'm going to go ahead and show off the gameplay and give you a breakdown on how I handle mapping. All right, here we are in a tier 15 map, and I'm going to go ahead and show you mapping and bossing. So make sure if you want to see how to do some bossing, you skip to that bossing section, and if you want to see just the mapping, then this is just the mapping. But for the mapping, I recommend that you just run around and you engage a group of enemies, you launch a grenade, and you want to be rolling a lot. I recommend that you do a whole lot of rolling. You're going to shoot and roll, shoot and roll, shoot and roll. So all I really do is I roll through the map, and I'm going to drop some grenades and just keep on moving. The grenades have enough area of effect to cover large portions of it to where I don't have to worry about going back and cleaning up some enemies. So all I do is roll through the map and let my grenades blow up and kill things. If it's going to be a particularly tough enemy like this rare up here, I will prep a oil nade and a gas nade, and then I'll shoot my normal nade and they die like it's nothing. So that's really all that it is for the mapping. I just roll through, drop my nades. If it's a tough enemy, I'm going to oil nade and gas nade them. And yeah, it pretty much one click on the regular grenade and it'll delete all these enemies. All right, so here I am at the map boss. The key thing is that before you shoot off your regular grenades, that you are going to shoot a oil nade and a gas nade. So what I'll do is I'll walk up, I'll shoot a gas nade, I'll shoot an oil nade. Sometimes I'll stun the boss if I want to, and then I'm just going to let my grenades rain down on top of the boss, and you will see her HP is just going to be gone. And this is a tier 2 map boss as well. This isn't like it's a tier 0. This is a +2 due to our passive skill tree or atlas tree right here. So yeah, that's the bossing. Real simple, real easy. You don't have to worry about dying or anything like that. Like I said, I've only died 15 times. This is my league starter. This is the first character I played, and I just breezed through the campaign, and I breezed through all content so far. So yeah, that is going to be it for the video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. If you want to come see me play with it live, I'll be live on Twitch at twitch.tv/FGCorbin21. I'm live pretty much every day throughout the week. So yeah, if you enjoyed it, let me know what you think in the comments section. Leave a like, sub if you really liked it. And yeah, I hope to see you guys in the next one. I will be playing Monk, so see you soon. Bye.